What came out of G20? Because officially Syria was not on the scheduled items that were going to be spoken about, and yet it seemed to hijack G20 though.
You're absolutely right. The G20 is, as a rule, focused on the growth and stability, and the stability issue is dominant via the Syria agenda. So at the end of the day, what has happened is that the participants, as well as the world, was much more interested with what's going on the sidelines rather than the G20 agenda per se. However, this particular meeting has got significant policy outputs, much more as a statement and articulation of the already existing policies rather than something new, but reiterated a lot of important points on the growth agenda and on the stability agenda. On the growth agenda being the issue that, granting that the G20 acknowledged that the recovery is too slow, it's not moving far ahead. A lot of measures has been discussed in this area on one hand. On the other hand, as the crisis is perceived is almost past, this doesn't provoke some major consensus on the new issues. But what is important is, like strategically, the spillover from the quantitative easing has been addressed, the EU banking union, a lot of issues that are immediate, with immediate significance for the trade and investment, etc., on one hand. On the other hand, the financial architecture of the world, as well as the financial regulation, has been on the spot. And most importantly, a very interesting diversion, I would say, challenging the existing financial architecture, was the BRICS decisions to announce the $100 billion fund, which is probably the first tangible measure of challenging the post-Second World War financial system. So all in all, it was a very productive, interesting meeting, overshadowed by the Syria agenda.
And speaking of Syria, I mean, what do you think will happen with the Congress vote? Do you think Obama will manage to push through enough support to follow through with a strike on Syria? Or if he doesn't get enough support, will he go ahead and do it anyway?
I think that the real issue there is, actually there is two issues. The first is that if you read carefully the public opinion polls, and largely the sense what the general public thinks, which is reflected in the behavior, political behavior of the Congress and the Senate, is that the general public is not convinced that this particular agenda is going to resolve the issue. So it's rather not that much of rejecting the idea of intervention, rather rejecting the idea of this particular intervention on one side. Having said that, in general the public is against that, and this is going to determine the fate of the vote. I don't think that at the moment there is enough votes in the Congress. At the same time, this is an evolving story. And most importantly, it appears that the most important and tangible cards hasn't been played by the current administration, by the administration of President Obama. And we'll wait and see. At the same time, whatever the exit and whatever the outcome of this vote, there is definitely not an appetite, there is no definitely inclination for the intrusion.